My cousin and I were reborn. And she wants to swap husbands with me. I never expected that I would die on the Qingming festival. It was supposed to be the day when I went to offer sacrifices to my ancestors while I was pregnant. 3 years ago. My cousin and I got married on the same day. The man she fancied was a set-down youth who was about to return to the city, while I could only accept a loafing good minus for minus nothing. Shortly after marriage, the young educated youth sent to the countryside set-down youth sacrificed his life to save others bravely. My cousin couldn't stand the loneliness and got involved with the dance hall owner. She was stabbed in the stomach and had her uterus removed. After I married the good minus for minus nothing, I led my husband to get rich and we became famous local entrepreneurs. When she learned that I was pregnant, my cousin came to visit me. While I wasn't paying attention, she picked up an axe and hit me on the back of my head. And she said viciously, "Everything you have is given by my father. Why should you live a good life when I'm not having a good time?" When I woke up after being reborn, I went back to the day of our engagement. At this moment, there were 2 blind date partners who came to our home. My cousin took the lead in grabbing the hand of the good minus for minus nothing and said that she would marry no one but him. At that moment, I was sure that she was reborn too. One before the formal blind date, my cousin had long been coveting Blake. She took a fancy to Blake's handsome appearance and his status as a city dweller. Once, heading to Feldweidsee, she deliberately kicked me into the water. Then, let out a low sigh. She watched as I was rescued ashore by the set-down youth Blake. Blake's leg was injured because of me. Regardless of my wet and ugly appearance, I carried him on my back and ran back to the village to find the blind grandpa for treatment. In fact, in the previous life, it was my cousin who accidentally fell into the water, and Blake became lame while trying to save her. At that time, they were already engaged. Blake's leg injury wasn't treated in time, and later he became lame. Such a good young man, because of his lameness, began to feel inferior inside. And later he gave up on himself. Less than 2 years after their marriage, Blake sacrificed his life to save a girl who was being molested by hooligans. At that time, I had educated my good minus for minus nothing husband so well that our life was getting better, and I became a well-known entrepreneur. When I learned the news of Blake's sacrifice, I felt sorry. Such a young man with a strong sense of justice was gone just like that. In my cousin's marriage, from the very beginning, my cousin had a purpose. After her status as a city dweller was confirmed, she kept taunting Blake about the fact that he was lame. With his parents having died early and his marriage being unhappy, the man's last bit of self-esteem was crushed by his wife's disgust. I guessed that Blake really wanted to save the girl at that time. Finally, perhaps when he could have gotten away, he deliberately gave up his life. After Blake died, the blind grandpa found me and gave me a jade pendant. He asked me to bury the jade pendant in Blake's grave on the Qingming festival. I was puzzled. The blind grandpa said that Blake often saved his rations and gave them to him. He was a kind, hearted and good boy. And he hoped that the good man could have a better life in the next life. In this life, by some twist of fate, Blake saved me. I couldn't let him become lame. I had to help him get treated. 3 days after falling into the water, my cousin and I had a formal blind date. There were 2 blind date partners standing in front of us. My cousin took the lead in grabbing the hand of the good minus for minus nothing and said that she would marry no one but him. At that moment, I was sure that she was reborn too. However, I didn't want to let her have her way. In front of everyone, I deliberately embarrassed her. "Aurora, don't you have any shame? You've already fancied Blake for a long time. Now, you want to change your mind just like that?" Aurora resorted to crying, making a scene, and even threatening to commit suicide. "Aunt, I want to marry Leo. If you don't agree to me, I'll die." I called her shameless. Aurora stuck out her neck and shouted yes. "I used to have feelings for Blake. But in the water, Blake held you tightly. How can a brother minus in minus law hug his sister minus in minus law like that? You're not ashamed." "But I am. I've changed my mind. I want to marry Leo." I was so angry. "Aurora, This isn't the feudal ancient times. Don't make excuses. My mother also tried to persuade her Aurora. Blake has a city hukou. If you marry him, you'll enjoy a good life when you return to the city. Aurora was firm in her attitude and, I won't marry him. Blake is lame. It will be difficult for him to support a family in the future. Why should I marry him? It's all Scarlett's fault that his leg is lame. If anyone should marry him, it should be Scarlett. Aurora, it was you who deliberately kicked me into the water. You can't get away with your responsibility for Blake's leg injury either. My mother looked at me suspiciously. And then at my cousin. Aurora, is what your sister said true? My cousin burst into tears. Aunt, you don't believe me? My father died because of your family. How can you still not believe me? As soon as my dead uncle was mentioned, my mother immediately wilted. She made a decision. Scarlett, you marry Blake. Why should I marry him? If anyone should marry him, you should. With a slap, my mother slapped me hard across the face. During those years of hunger, it was your uncle who helped our family. He starved himself so much that he ruined his health. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died so young. I will never forget this kindness. Covering my burning face, I burst into tears. Mom, you do owe my uncle a favor. But it has been more than 10 years since my uncle passed away. You took my cousin in and raised her in our family. Isn't that enough? Scarlett, you ungrateful wretch. Without your uncle, there would be no our family. One should know how to be grateful. My mother never cared about me. She had always been thinking about her niece Aurora. I was physically and mentally exhausted and really wanted to escape from this home as soon as possible. Leo's family was originally a pit of fire. It would be better if my cousin was willing to jump into it for me. I didn't care who I married. Anyway, having fulfilled my obsession, I didn't rely on a man to live. Even if Blake died in the future, I firmly believed that I could definitely live a good life. My cousin gave me a malicious smile. Sister, leave the good days of Blake's family to you. Then, let Amamo sigh. You have to remember to thank me. I smiled and blessed her. I wish you a big family with many children and grandchildren. Just don't die before me. 3. In the previous life, when Leo married me, the betrothal gifts he gave were very generous. I clearly remember there was a jade thumb ring, which was of great value. I didn't get a single penny of all those betrothal gifts. My mother gave them all to my cousin Aurora. Later, after I begged her, my mother gave me 10 yuan to put in my pocket. This time, since we were swapping marriages, I had to plan for myself. After I tried my best to fight for it, my mother gave me a 28-bar bicycle and 2 quilts as a dowry. While the dowry my mother gave my cousin was the 3 popular items at that time. Mom, who is your biological daughter? My cousin and I? Are you counting on her to support you when you're old? It was obvious to a fool that my mother was partial. My mother scolded me. I never counted on you. You unfilial child. As long as you don't come back to the parental home and make me angry, I'll be grateful to the gods. My mother meant that she wanted to break off the relationship with me. I felt both heartbroken and relieved. In the future, without the burden of my parental home, I would live more easily. In the previous life, after my cousin had her uterus removed, she returned to my mother's side. She lived a life of having everything served to her and spent a lot of money every day. When the production team disbanded, my father was no longer the team leader. Just relying on the few acres of thin farmland at home, the family couldn't make ends meet. At that time, my younger brother was about to get married, and the family's finances were in a tight spot. My mother often came to me for financial help. In this life, Aurora was determined to marry Leo. I wanted to see what kind of life they could make of it. My cousin and I were born on the same day of the same month and the same year. My mother asked a fortune teller to calculate the date. He said that we had to get married on the same day, otherwise it would be bad luck for our parents. On the day of our wedding, on Aurora's side, it was bustling and full of people. On my side, there were only me and Blake. My mother said that Blake's legs were not good and she didn't let him come out to meet people and make the guests uncomfortable. I was glad to be left alone. My father built a heated kang in the production team's warehouse. And that was our bridal chamber. Blake cleaned on a crutch and poured me a cup of hot water. I looked up and sized up the young man in front of me. He had sword-shaped eyebrows and starry eyes, broad shoulders and long legs. Due to working in the fields and being exposed to the sun and wind, his face was rather dark. It was such a lively person who died young. I sighed in my heart. Blake said with apology, "Scarlett, I'm sorry. I took advantage of you." I smiled. Same here. In fact, it was just a matter of getting what we each needed. In recent years, the Sent-Down-Us had all found ways to return to the city one after another. Blake's parents' situation was special. If he wanted to return to the city, he could only rely on his own efforts. The first step to return to the city was to get my father, the team leader, to sign. Coincidentally, my cousin Aurora took a fancy to Blake. With my mother's partiality for my cousin, she would definitely try to match them up. Unexpectedly, my cousin was reborn suddenly, and she changed her mind and wanted to marry Leo. She was so vicious that she kicked me into the water and made Blake get injured. My mother, who doted on her niece so much, always did whatever my cousin said. As for me, as long as I could leave my biased mother, it didn't matter who I married. After having enough to eat and drink, I said, "Blake, hide and a sigh. Let's get a divorce." For Blake was stunned, afraid that he would misunderstand. I quickly explained it's not a divorce now. After you return to the city, help me transfer my Huku to the city. After I help you cure your leg, then we'll get a divorce. I told him about my family and how my mother favored my cousin. When I was a child, eggs were in short supply. If there was only one egg, it would definitely be given to my cousin to eat. When new clothes were made for the spring festival, they were always made for my cousin first. And I could only wear the clothes that she had outgrown. When I had my period, if there was only one roll of toilet paper, my mother would give it to my cousin first, and I could only use Plan Dash. Whenever I resisted, my mother would say that her father was our family's benefactor. Blake took out his handkerchief and helped me wipe away my tears. "I'm sorry. I'm lame and I can't help you." I tried to cheer him up. "You're just lame in your leg, not in your mind. As long as your mind is good, you won't starve to death." Blake was stunned for a long time before he reacted. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes. "Scarlett, you're right." I assigned him a task. "You're good at carpentry. Make a kang table tomorrow. If you have more time, make a few more sets. I'll take them to the market and sell them for money." Blake readily agreed. While chatting with him, I helped him apply a hot compress to his injured leg and also put on the plaster given by the blind grandpa. We got along very well. We were not like a husband and wife, but more like friends. We had a good sleep that night. At dawn, while we were still in our dreams, the door was kicked open. Aurora's loud voice came. "Scarlett, are you dead?" I pulled the quilt and got into Blake's bed. Blake's body stiffened instantly, and his face turned as red as a rosy cloud. Aurora wanted me to have a bad life, but I wouldn't let her wish come true. Seeing us hugging together, she cursed. "Scarlett, you're being so affectionate in broad daylight. You have no shame." I shouted, "Help! There's a thief in the house." I jumped out of bed, grabbed Aurora's hair, pinned her down, and straddled her, punching and kicking her. Blake got into the act even faster. While I was hitting Aurora, he stood in the yard and shouted, "Help! Catch the thief!" The neighbors came to watch the excitement. And my parents also came. I pinched myself hard, bringing tears to my eyes. My family is so poor. And she still comes to steal. Is there any way for us to live? Folks, take a look. I sobbed. The villagers looked at the bare room and shook their heads and sighed. Aurora had her hair in a mess and was beaten with a black eye by me. I didn't come to steal anything. Coming uninvited is considered stealing. We were showing our affection as a couple. What did you barge in for? Aurora was in the wrong and stammered. I just wanted to see how your wedding night was. Shameless. What does how we live as a couple have to do with you? Could it be that you still have feelings for my Blake? I reminded Leo. Keep your wife in line. Be careful that she might steal someone after stealing things. Or rushed forward to hit me. Blake stood in front of me and grabbed her wrist and twisted it. Aurora howled in pain. Blake said in a deep voice. Folks. Please bear witness for me. I'm going to call the police. My parents cared so much about Face that they would never let the family scandal be spread outside. So, at my request, Aurora compensated me with 200 yuan. My mother also compensated me with 50 eggs. When they left, Aurora kept looking back. In the previous life, her wedding night with Blake was not pleasant. Aurora somehow angered Blake, and they had a scuffle. Aurora's arm was broken, and Blake's face was scratched. She thought that my life would also be in a mess and came to see my joke. I disappointed her. Leo grabbed Aurora's clothes and dragged her home. You shameless woman. Why are you still looking back? Do you really miss that cent minus down you've? I don't. I don't believe you. The sound of slapping could be heard. Aurora begged for mercy in pain. The next night, Aurora was beaten again. When I passed by Leo's house, I heard arguing coming from inside. I hid by the wall and peeked. Leo roared. You bitch. Give me the money quickly. This is my dowry. Why should I give it to you? Will you give it or not? If you don't, I'll beat you to death. Aurora cried. Let go of me. You're pulling my hair. It hurts so much. Leo's mother tried to mediate. Aurora. Just consider it as Leo borrowing money from you. He lost the bet this time. You help him pay off the debt. And he'll pay you back when he wins next time. I won't lend it. You have to lend it. Leo's mother held down Aurora. Leo grabbed her neck and snatched the wallet from her hand. Aurora cursed loudly and punched and kicked. After Leo got what he wanted, he ran out through the back window. Aurora chased after him. When she saw me standing outside the window watching the fun, Aurora stopped in her tracks. She wiped a stream of bright red nosebleed and turned back into the house. I hummed a cheerful tune and went home. In the evening, when Blake was helping me wash my feet and massage them, Aurora burst in. Her neck was bruised. Her eyes were so swollen that there was only a slit left. There was a tear on the corner of her mouth, and half of her face was swollen. Looking at her funny and pitiful appearance, I held back my laughter. You're laughing at me, aren't you? Scarlett. I'm telling you. I'm your family's benefactor. If I don't have a good life, you won't be able to live as you wish either. What I can't have, you can't have either. Before I could react, she picked up a shovel and swung it at me. Blake reacted quickly and reached out to snatch it away. I grabbed her hair and dragged her outside the courtyard. Her face was distorted with rage as she shouted and cursed at the top of her lungs. Scarlett. Why do you have a better life than me? Blake does carpentry work to earn money for you. He even cooks for you and fetches water for you to wash your feet. Leo gambles every day, steals my dowry, and beats me. Why is that? In this life, the good life should have been mine. Why did it fall on you again? She struggled wildly. I'm not willing to accept this. It shouldn't be like this. There must be something wrong somewhere. I didn't want to listen to her crazy words, so I locked the front door. She clung to the gate of my yard, her face twisted and terrifying, and said viciously, Scarlett. You wait. I won't let you have an easy time. My cousin and my mother targeted me everywhere, but I didn't lose heart. I tried my best to live a good life on my own. 6. I recalled the previous life. Leo was addicted to gambling. He played both Pai Gow and Leaf cards and often lost money. After marriage, when I found out that he had lost money gambling, I gave him a good scolding. He had lost so much money that he couldn't make up for the deficit. Remembering the dowry that my mother had taken away, I told Leo about it. Leo then went to Aurora's house and stole that expensive thumb ring back to pay off his gambling debts. Later, I forced Leo to go around the streets and alleys with me to buy agricultural and sideline products. When he got busy and I kept a close eye on him, Leo gradually got rid of his gambling habit. Aurora deserved to be beaten. Seeing her in such a state, I felt much relieved. 3 days after the wedding, we went back to my parents' home. Aurora, with her injuries, was chatting with my mother. Leah was cracking sunflower seeds and sipping tea, acting like a senior master of a family patriarch. The two of them acted as if nothing had happened. As if they aren't the ones who had fought last night. As soon as I entered the house, my mother questioned me. "What are you doing back here?" I went straight to the kitchen and carried away the eggs in the basket. "Scarlett, put them down. Those are for me to sell for money." "Mom, you're so partial. Blake and I don't have any rice or noodles to cook. If you don't give me the eggs, I'll move back here to live." My mother chased me to the gate and stamped her feet in anger. "You little brat. Don't you ever come back." Aurora chased after me to fan the flames. "Scarlett, it's your man's fault for being incompetent. He can't even support his wife. You deserve to marry him." I turned back and smiled at her. "Aurora, my man never beats me. Unlike some people who are beaten up by the mother and son together and don't even dare to say a word." Aurora's face turned red with anger. I just love seeing her furious but unable to do anything about it. Holding the 200 yuan, I rode the 28-bar bicycle and took Blake to the hospital for a follow-up examination. On the way back, we went to visit the blind grandpa. Blake's leg recovered well, and it was all thanks to the blind grandpa. I bought a caddy of dried tobacco for the blind grandpa to express my gratitude. The blind grandpa gave me a jade pendant. When I saw the pattern on the jade pendant clearly, I was shocked. It was exactly the same as the one I buried in Blake's grave in the previous life. When I pressed the mechanism, the jade pendant split into 2 halves. The blind grandpa asked me and Blake to wear 1 piece each. 7 months after the marriage, there was still no news about Blake's return to the city. I went back to my parents' home and questioned my father. My father stammered. After I repeatedly questioned him, he said that my mother had taken money from another sent-down youth, and gave the quota to return to the city to that youth first. Seeing my face turn pale with anger, my father comforted me. "Scarlett, the next quota will definitely be yours." When my mother came back from cutting pigweed and saw me at home, she was about to scold me again. I was so angry that I grabbed the sickle and put it across her neck. "How much bribes did you take? I married Blake, and you don't care about his returning to the city, do you? If Aurora had married him, would you have already settled the matter? You little brat. How dare you threaten me?" I exerted a little more force, and a blood mark appeared on my mother's neck. "Scarlett, I'm your mother. How dare you kill me?" My mother's voice trembled. "Aren't you going to put it down?" I was so angry that my eyes turned red. "Today, either you settle the matter for Blake or you die." My mother was so scared that tears welled up in her eyes. "Alexander, come and save me. Your daughter is going to kill me." My father knew my stubborn temper well, and he kept saying nice things to me. "I'll let you go, but you have to settle the matter for Blake and give me another 200 yuan to subsidize the family expenses. Otherwise, I'll report you for accepting bribes." My mother was a bully who feared the strong and oppressed the weak. She compromised. After putting the 200 yuan in my pocket, I asked my father to fill out a new form again. I forced him to go to the village office with me to stamp and sign it, and directly sent it to the township before I felt relieved. When Blake learned that he had been replaced, he was silent for a long time. "Scarlett, thank you for always helping me. It's my parents who are sorry for you. They broke their promise and made you have to endure it here for a few more days." He stroked the top of my head. "I'm not much of a man. I let a girl like you handle everything. You're a scholar and will do great things in the future. For such small matters, only a rough person like me can handle them." Blake pulled me into his arms and gently patted my shoulder. "Scarlett, I will always keep this kindness in my heart." During the time waiting for the news of returning to the city, I didn't idle around. Blake's leg was gradually getting better. He used the tools of the production team to make tables and chairs. And my father didn't dare to do anything to him because he felt guilty. I rode the 28-bar bicycle and carried the tables and chairs to the market to sell them. When the weather was good, I went to various villages to collect mountain products. The reform and opening up had just started, and people with flexible minds seized the opportunity to show their abilities. I also became one of them. Although being a speculator was hard work, I had an income every day. When I got home, Blake had already cooked the meals. In the evening, he would fetch water to help me wash my feet and give me a massage. Although we didn't have a real marital relationship, we got along better than ordinary couples. Blake became more and more sunny and cheerful. And sometimes he even joked with me. Seeing that he was in a better and better state, I felt more and more at ease. In the future, he shouldn't be pessimistic about life anymore. My life with Blake was getting better and better. But something happened to my cousin Aurora. After marrying into Leo's family, Aurora thought that she could become a 10-1,000 household just by cracking sunflower seeds and sipping tea every day. She didn't see the efforts I made behind the scenes. She couldn't lead Leo onto the right path. Leo gambled even more recklessly and lost all of Aurora's dowry. Later, there was really no other way. So the mother and son went to mating. In the previous life, there was a jade thumb ring in the betrothal gifts that Leo gave me. And I thought it was unusual. Later, when he was drunk, I asked him. And he told me that he had found an ancient tomb. And the mother and son went to dig it and unearthed a lot of valuable things. Leo had been neglected in disciplines since he was a child and was a man who indulged in eating, drinking, warring, and gambling. He gambled with a boss in the city and lost more than 10,000 yuan. When he really had no money left, he took his mother to dig the tomb. Unexpectedly, having fulfilled my exashered, the ancient tomb collapsed. His mother was crushed inside, and he ran out to find someone to rescue her. That's how he was caught by the public security. Leo's mother died, and Leo was sent to prison. Aurora was left alone to guard the 3 shabby bungalows with nothing inside. The boss who won the money was a man who ran a dance hall in the city. He came to Aurora to ask for the money. Aurora didn't have the money, so she turned to my mother. My mother gave her all the family savings. But it still wasn't enough. My mother came to me with a thick face. "Scarlett, your cousin is in trouble. You should help her. She's the only child of your uncle. If something happens to her, how can I explain it to your uncle after I die? Didn't I give you 200 yuan some time ago? Take it out and give it to your sister." I firmly refused. Don't count on me to help her. Not adding insult to injury is the greatest favor I can do for her. In the previous life, on the King Ming festival, I had planned to go to the gravesite to offer sacrifices to my ancestors. Aurora came to see me. But unexpectedly, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. While I wasn't paying attention, she picked up an axe and hit me on the back of my head, causing the death of both me and the unborn child. I will never forget that kind of pain. My mother pointed at me and called me an ungrateful wretch. I listened to her scolding me with a smile. But my heart was crying. This was my own mother. My own mother who bullied me everywhere. I wished I didn't have such a mother. Later, I didn't know how Aurora reached an agreement with the dance hall boss. And she went to work for the creditor. I heard my mother showing off to the neighbors, saying that Aurora could earn more than 1,000 yuan a month and would be able to pay off Leo's debts in a few months. Once, I saw a man riding a big motorcycle back to the village. And Aurora was sitting behind him. Aurora hugged the man's waist tightly. She was wearing sunglasses. And her long hair with big waves fluttered in the wind. Why did that man look so familiar? I searched through my memories of the previous life. And later I remembered that this man was the dance hall boss from the previous life. It really was a case of birds of a feather flocked together. There were always flies around a stinking fish. In this life, the two of them were entangled with each other again. In the evening, Blake and I were having dinner in the yard when Aurora came to mock us again, reeking of pungent perfume. "Scarlett, why are you still so shabby?" Her hand with red nail polish picked at the peeling wall. "You're just so so. Look. This house is about to collapse. Do you need me to help you out?" I stood up to hit her. Blake pressed down on my hand. "Aurora, our life is poor. But the money we earn is clean. You're not welcome here. Get out." O raised her hand to show off. Blake let out a low sigh. Being sharp minus stunned is useless. If you have the ability, buy a ring like this for Scarlett too. It costs more than 1,000 yuan. I'm afraid you won't be able to afford it in your whole life. I sneered. Aurora. Did your man buy that ring for you? It was a lover. Wasn't it? How many lovers do you have exactly? Don't you have a clue in your heart? Having her true situation exposed, Aurora's face turned pale and then red. I have many lovers because I have the ability. Making men spend money on me is also my ability. You can be envious, jealous, and hateful. I stood up and said in a low voice. You'd better not have the ability to earn money, but not the life to spend it. Aurora was taken aback. Seeing that I was fine, she cursed. Country bumpkins. You're just dashed and to scratch a living out of the soil. My words came true. Aurora was stabbed not long after she returned to the city. 9. It was said that Aurora was caught having an affair with the dance hall boss by his wife. The wife was also a scheming woman. And she didn't make a fuss. Afterward, she found a few hoodlums and cornered Aurora in an alley. Aurora was stabbed in the stomach. And her uterus was punctured and removed. Because there wasn't enough evidence. The wife got away with it. And this case became an unsolved mystery. After being discharged from the hospital, Aurora returned to the countryside. My mother took care of her as if she were a deity. The news that Blake could return to the city finally came. On the day we packed our luggage and were about to leave, Aurora found us. She had disheveled hair and a pale face like a ghost, completely different from her arrogant appearance a few days ago. She stared at me viciously. Scarlett. Why can't I have a better life than you? She laughed sinister lie. Don't think that you'll enjoy a good life just because you're going back to the city. Blake will die soon. When he's dead, you'll be just like me. Homeless and wandering the streets. I gave her a look of disgust. Aurora. You've lived in vain. In the previous life, your uterus was stabbed. And you still haven't learned your lesson in this life? You brought this on yourself. You deserve it. Even if you were reborn 10 times, you'd still be the same way. Aurora was stunned. You. She pointed at me. You. Were reborn too? I gave a hum. You wanted to swap marriages. And so what? I'm still living a good life. I'm telling you. Whether Blake is here or not, I'll live a good life. Because I don't rely on men. I rely on myself. Aurora's body swayed. And she leaned against the wall to steady herself. She murmured to herself. Why is this happening? In this life, I clearly chose Leo. I thought I would soon live the life of a 10-thous and -1 household. Why didn't it come true? I scolded her. Even tofu has some substance. But you, a living person, have no brains. You deserve not to have a good life. After scolding her, I continued to lower my head to pack my things. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew from behind. Watch out! Blake shouted a warning. He came back from outside the yard and rushed forward to kick Aurora down. I called the police and said that Aurora had attempted murder. My mother clung to my leg and cried. Scarlett. She's mentally ill. You should forgive her. If she goes to prison, I'll feel sorry for your dead uncle. Tears welled up in my eyes. I almost lost my life. And she didn't show any concern. Now that Aurora was going to prison, she came to beg me. This was my own mother. In the end, after mediation by the public security and the village head, my mother compensated me with another 200 yuan. I put forward the condition that I wanted to sever the relationship with my parental home. In the future, their life and death, wealth and poverty would have nothing to do with me. My mother agreed. Aurora was sent to a mental hospital. On the day I returned to the city with Blake, my mother didn't come to see me off. She went to the hospital to visit her niece instead. 10 After returning to the city, I met my in-laws. Both my father in-law and mother in-law were intellectuals. Because they hadn't been rehabilitated yet. The members of Blake's family kept a low profile and rarely went out. Regarding Blake's return to the city, they only provided suggestions and strategies and never showed up in person. In the previous life, when Blake returned to the city with a lame leg, his mother couldn't accept the fact that her son was disabled and died of illness not long after. Not long after Blake died, his father also passed away. Such a good family fell apart just like that. I didn't have much education. But my in-laws treated me very well. My mother-in-law also bought us a house in the downtown area so that we could live separately. They asked Blake to review and take the college entrance examination the next year. And they also encouraged me to have a try. I didn't want to take part in it. My current thought was to earn a lot of money. Now that I had severed the relationship with my natal family, I had no backing to rely on. Only money could make me feel secure. During the day, I still went to the countryside as usual to buy agricultural and sideline products. In the evening, I used my spare time to study at a night school. The next summer, my father-in-law and mother-in-law were rehabilitated. They both returned to their original jobs and were promoted. Blake took the college entrance examination and was admitted to the police academy with the first place in the whole city. I bought two bungalows on the busiest pedestrian street and sold agricultural and sideline products. The business was booming. I wanted to talk to Blake about getting a divorce. But he made excuses and was always avoiding me. When the new semester started in autumn, he went directly to school and I didn't see him for half a semester. During the spring festival holiday, when I wanted to find him, he didn't go home either. Later, I went to my mother-in-law's house and blocked Blake, afraid that he would run away. I locked the door. Blake, la karar. We agreed before that we should part on good terms. We each got what we wanted. Now, your leg has been well for a long time. And we can't delay the matter of our divorce any longer. Blake had grown taller. And his body was even more slender. He had also become more reserved. And he had undergone a complete transformation compared to when he was in the countryside. I was genuinely happy for him from the bottom of my heart. He asked me a grieved lie. Scarlett, do you like another boy? I have my bottom line. I won't get involved with other men until we get a divorce. Blake pursed his lips tightly. After a long silence, he summoned up the courage to confess to me, I like you. And I don't want a divorce. I felt both gratified and sad. Blake, lekha. We can't be together. Our original intention of getting married wasn't pure. You also know the character of my parents. My whole family doesn't deserve yours. I married you, not your parents. I won't get a divorce. My eyes felt a bit astringent. It was a happy thing to be recognized by someone. But I couldn't bring myself to smile. There was a huge gap between Blake and me. How could a bird in the sky have an intersection with a fish in the water? Your education level is higher than mine. You're a top student. And I'm a poor student. We don't have a common language. Although you don't have a high education level, you have a good character. Education can only filter out poor students, not scoundrels. You're independent and self-reliant, and you're a model for women. Anyway, having fulfilled laid session, I won't get a divorce. If you think my education level is too high, then I'll drop out of school and do business with you. The loud knocking on the door interrupted our argument. My mother-in-law called us to come out. My father-in-law and mother-in-law sat upright. And it seemed that they knew something. Are you going to get a divorce? My mother-in-law asked. 11 Blake preempted me and complained, Mom. It's not that I want a divorce. It's Scarlett who wants a divorce. She thinks my education level is too high. This bastard. Did his ancestors work as chefs? How could he be so good at shirking responsibility? Under my mother-in-law's inquiring gaze, I told the whole story of how we got married in the first place. My mother-in-law's eyes turned red. Scarlett, you've suffered a lot. In the future, even if you divorce Blake, you'll still be my daughter. The door of this house will always be open to you. I burst into tears. In my natal family, no matter how much I gave, I never received the recognition of my family. In Blake's family, I only made a modest contribution, but they were full of gratitude. Blake was so anxious that he jumped up and down. Mom, why aren't you helping me? My mother-in-law picked up a feather duster and whipped him. You young people should solve your own problems. Even if I lose my daughter-in-law, I won't lose out if I gain an extra daughter. Although the matter of my divorce from Blake had been brought out in the open, it didn't affect my mother-in-law's kindness towards me at all. She still came to my store on weekends to help me sell goods. She also transferred the property under her name to my name. I firmly refused. And my mother minus and minus law asked me with red eyes. If you don't want to be my daughter minus and minus law, don't you even want to be my daughter? She said it so pitifully. As if I had bullied her. I had to accept her kindness and wrote a letter to tell Blake about it. After 8 days, I still didn't receive a reply from Blake. This was a situation that had never happened before. On the 10th day, my mother minus and minus law found me in a hurry. She said that Blake was in a coma and had been hospitalized. And she didn't dare to tell me for fear that I would be worried. My mother minus and minus law cried bitterly. She was worried that Blake wouldn't be able to pull through and wanted to take me to see him. We went straight to the hospital in the provincial capital. On the way, my mother minus and minus law told me the whole story. It turned out that when Blake was walking on the street, he met a thief. The aunt who had lost her money sat on the ground and cried, saying that the money was the life minus saving money for her son, who was waiting for an operation in the hospital. Blake chased after the thief and snatched the wallet back. He thought that the matter was over. But unexpectedly, those thieves were part of a gang. 7 or 8 of them surrounded Blake and fought with him. The thief gang was knocked down. But Blake was also stabbed and had been in a coma and hadn't woken up. In the previous life, Blake sacrificed his life for being heroic and helping others. Could it be that in this life he was still going to die at a young age? My father minus and minus law and mother minus and minus law were such good people. How could they bear the pain of seeing their white minus haired selves send off their black minus haired child? Tears streamed down my face. 12 My father minus and minus law used his connections to find the best doctor. Because of the personal relationship, the doctor secretly told us that it was recommended to find a sorcerer to take a look, as Blake's illness seemed more like a spiritual illness. In a coma, Blake still tightly held that jade pendant in his left hand. I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, the blind grandpa had asked me to bury the jade pendant in Blake's grave. I took off the jade pendant around my neck and placed it in Blake's right hand for him to hold. I told my father minus and minus law and mother minus and minus law about the blind grandpa. The blind grandpa was originally a Taoist priest. During the anti-minus Japanese War, 70-2 of his fellow apprentices went down the mountain. And only he returned. He was blind in one eye and lame in one leg. When he came back, the Taoist temple had been destroyed, and he drifted to the village. I thought that the blind grandpa was a man of great hidden abilities, and was an extraordinary person. After more than a year of getting along, my mother minus and minus law trusted me very much. And as a result, she also trusted the blind grandpa. My father minus and minus law's driver drove us. And the 3 of us went back to the village. At the entrance of the village, a woman wearing a red dress was running around. When she saw the green Jeep, she chased after it and shouted, "Give it to me. Give it to me. That car is mine." It was actually Aurora. She chased the car all the way to the blind grandpa's house. The driver carried Blake out of the car. When Aurora saw me, she seemed to wake up from her madness. "Scarlett. Blake is dead, right? Sooner or later he will die. And you will be like me. Unwanted by any man." She greedily touched the glass of the Jeep, and jealousy made her eyes turn red. "Why do you have a better life than me? I've never even ridden in a Jeep. Why can you ride in it? My father starved to death for your family. And you're all ungrateful to me. Why don't you give me all the best things? What I don't have, none of you can have either." Aurora picked up a stone and threw it at the car window. I grabbed her collar and pinned her to the ground. "How dare you hit me? My father is your family's savior." I slapped her hard across the face. "Don't try to morally blackmail me. I won't fall for that. The Alexander family gave you the best. But you didn't know how to cherish it. You wanted Blake. And Blake was given to you. You chose Leo. And Leo was also given to you. Why is your life still not good? Because you have no brains. A happy life doesn't come by lying flat and waiting. It requires your own efforts. I don't believe it. I don't believe it." Aurora knelt on the ground and struggled. "I want to swap back. I want to marry Blake. And I want to ride in the Jeep. Scarlett. Let her go." My mother came running over. Your sister is our family's benefactor. How can you hit her? She pushed me away without asking the reason and pulled her oar up. Your sister gets excited as soon as she sees you. Can't you just stay away from her? Your current good life is all because of your sister. You should know how to be grateful. I didn't want to say a word to her and went straight into the house. The blind grandpa called back Blake's soul and then told us to go home and wait. I wanted the blind grandpa to come back to the city with me and live with us. But he refused. He said that after the reform opening up, the common people gradually lived a good life. He wanted to travel all over the country and see the great rivers and mountains of the motherland for his sacrificed fellow apprentices. I knelt down and kowtowed to the blind grandpa with tears in my eyes to say goodbye. My mother was still waiting for me outside the yard. Suddenly, her attitude took a 1-100- and -80- turn. Scarlett. Your mother wants to borrow some money from you. Your cousin's illness is getting worse. I firmly refused. My mother cursed loudly. You ungrateful wretch. Your sister is ill. And you're just going to let her die. Are you even human? I regret not strangling you to death when you were a child. The car drove out of the village entrance. And I looked back. My mother and her Aura were chasing after us and kept throwing stones at the car. 13 Blake woke up 3 days later. As soon as he woke up, he hugged me tightly and wouldn't let go. He was so clingy. Just like a lost puppy that had just found its owner. Scarlett. I had a dream. I dreamed that I married Aurora in the previous life. That you went to sweep my grave. And that the blind grandpa gave me the jade pendant. I patted his arm to soothe him. I know all about it. Isn't it time for you to go back to school? Blake kept mumbling. I won't get a divorce. Even if you don't like me. I won't get a divorce. Unless I die. I had just pulled him back from the brink of death. And I never wanted to hear the word death again. I covered his mouth. How could I not like him? He was an upright person. He was better looking than me. Had a better family than me. And had a higher education level than me. I couldn't even hope to match up to him. I refused him only because I felt that I didn't deserve him. This time, his injury had a great impact on me. A person's life is very short, and I don't want to leave any regrets for myself. If you love someone, you should charge forward. I kissed his cheek. I like you. We'll have a baby as soon as you graduate. After Blake recovered and went back to school, he soon joined the party. The worry in my heart was completely relieved. And I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my business. With the business experience from the previous life. In this life, I quickly achieved the goal of becoming a 10,000 yuan household. When Blake graduated, I already had a substantial fortune and had become a well-known local entrepreneur. After starting work, Blake had undergone a complete transformation and seemed like a different person. He became even more composed, reserved, and serious. Only when he was facing me was he still that clingy down youth. Thanks to the good policies of the country's reform and opening up, after my wallet became full, I always wanted to do my bit to help others. I planned to build a glory home and provide free support for those disabled veterans who had made contributions to the country. Those who carry firewood for the masses should not be allowed to freeze to death in the wind and snow. My father -law and mother -law fully supported me. They helped me go through the formalities. And soon, the glory home was completed. The blind grandpa was the first one to move in. After I got pregnant, I started to be lazy. One day, I was sunbathing at the entrance of the store when my father came. His hair was completely white. And his eyes were sunken in. Scarlett. Please save your mother quickly. She's killed someone. 14 I wasn't surprised. Because someone had come to see me 2 days ago. I took out 5,000 yuan and gave it to him. Dad. You can't control her. This is the money for your old age. In the future, you have to take good care of yourself. My father rubbed his chapped hands and shed tears. I know that your mother is partial to your cousin. You have grievances in your heart. And so do I. It's just that I'm weak and incompetent and can't help you with anything. Your mother has killed your cousin. This time, the family is quiet. But the family is also broken up. Your mother may be sentenced to death. Go and see her. The next time you see her will be in the next life. I saw my mother in the detention center. She walked with a faltering step. And her eyes were dull. When she saw me, my mother burst into tears. I didn't mean to kill her. She was too troublesome. She spent all the money in the family. She got all the good things. And she could do whatever she wanted. But she had to buy a Jeep. I couldn't afford it even if I sold myself. She stabbed me with a pair of scissors. And I tried to snatch it away. But I accidentally hurt her. She wiped her tears. I have no face to see your uncle. I've killed his daughter. Your uncle was our family's benefactor. I interrupted her coldly. Your niece isn't dead. My mother's eyes wide and as big as walnuts. I pointed at myself with red eyes. I'm your niece. I only found out my true identity 2 days ago. My cousin and I were born on the same day of the same month and the same year. And in the same hospital. During childbirth, my aunt bled to death. In order to give his daughter a good life, my uncle swapped the 2 children. My uncle's child was swapped into the Alexander family and lived a good life with both parents. The child of the Alexander family was swapped into my uncle's house and lived with my uncle. Only my uncle and my aunt's elder sister knew about this matter. But 2 days ago, my aunt's elder sister found me. After hearing that my mother had killed Aurora, she came to tell me this news and also came to recognize me as her relative. She told me my true identity. I was my uncle's biological daughter. She was my biological aunt. After listening to my story, my mother suddenly realized. I was deceived. My heartless brother. He was nice to me. But it was all for his daughter. I've been grateful to him all this time. Even my own brother can't be trusted. I smiled helplessly. After that, tears couldn't help streaming down my face. Only I knew the bitterness in my heart. I called her Mom for the last time. Mom. If there's a next life, remember to be clear about everything. If you hadn't indulged Aurora without any principles, things wouldn't have developed to this point. I got up and left. And my mother's wailing came from behind me. My daughter. My own daughter. Mom is sorry for you. When I walked out of the gloomy room, the sun was shining brightly outside. Blake walked towards me. There was a bright future ahead of me. The end of the full text. The kidnapper asked who among those present was a child of the Vincent family. I saw that my elder sister's face turned pale with fright. So I took the initiative to step forward. The police took me home. And my elder sister looked at me with a look of disgust. Having such a younger sister is so embarrassing. My parents' initial guilt was gradually eroded by my elder sister's repeated frame-ups. I was killed by her. I was reborn on the day of the kidnapping. On my way to primary school, I pretended to be ill and went home. Think of me when your elder sister isn't by your side. Sister. We have to hurry up. Or we'll be late. Isabella's gentle smiling face and her darting expression appeared in front of me. I looked at the familiar buildings around me in surprise. This was the day of the kidnapping. In my previous life, Isabella got up late and dragged me to run along the path to school. As a result, we met the kidnappers. The kidnappers asked us fiercely who was the eldest daughter of the Vincent family. She hid behind me, trembling and looking terrified. At that time, I just wanted to protect my elder sister. So I was taken away by the kidnappers. After going through an old hardships to get home, I was killed by her again. Therefore, I decided to send her to hell with my own hands in this life. Sister. It's so good to see you. The corners of my mouth lifted into an innocent smile, hiding the darkness in my heart in the boundless purgatory. I really want to see what that high and mighty wealthy young lady will be like 12 years later. I'm really looking forward to it. Silly girl. Don't we see each other every day? She rubbed my head. The next second, I started screaming while clutching my stomach. Sister. My stomach hurts so much. She looked at me a little anxiously. Sister. Why does your stomach hurt all of a sudden? Did you secretly eat snacks yesterday? I nodded. And she looked at me helplessly. At this time, Isabella was the most outstanding child in the eyes of teachers and parents. So, of course, a good child couldn't be late. Seeing the red light start to count down, she became more and more anxious. So, I said considerately, "Sister, I'll go home and rest first. I won't go to school today. You should hurry to school, or you'll be late." After crossing the traffic light, we would reach that fateful intersection. I had to make her go through the same fate as I did in my previous life. My dear elder sister. Sure enough. She let out a sigh of relief. Then you go home and have a good rest. After school, sister will buy you toys. I nodded obediently. Sister, don't miss me too much when I'm not by your side. I leaned close to her ear to say goodbye, and then waved my hand and left. I didn't walk home slowly until I saw her walk into that alley with my own eyes. Isabella has been competitive since she was a child. As long as there is something she takes a fancy to, she will do whatever it takes to get it. In my previous life, the little brother Leo from the next door neighbor's house was very good looking. And she had been trying every means to get close to him. But unfortunately, he only had a good relationship with me. Today I didn't go to school. And she should be very happy. Finally, there is no one to compete with her for the little brother. However, this time, let it be the last bit of sweetness before her suffering comes. Anyway, she won't be able to see him. I thought with a sense of satisfaction, my eyebrows and eyes dancing. As long as you don't hurt my daughter, I'll give you 5 million in cash later. I watched as my father said in a low and anxious voice. Okay. I will send the money to the designated location as agreed. And you also have to release my daughter as promised. After my father put down the phone, my mother was crying so hard that she was out of breath. I lowered my head sadly and couldn't help giving the kidnappers a thumbs up. They were really on time. Not the slightest bit different from my previous life. Dad, let's call the police. I'm afraid my sister is in danger. I looked at him with tears in my eyes. And ran to my mother's side sadly and buried my face in her arms. In my previous life, the kidnappers actually wanted to release me after getting the ransom. After all, they didn't want to cause trouble. But my dear elder sister strongly suggested that my parents call the police, which made the kidnappers desperate. Now, for her safety, we should call the police anyway. Husband, Arya is right. With the police around, at least Isabella's life's safety can be guaranteed. Okay. Dad nodded dejectedly. I heard the sound of the police call with my own ears. Soon, the police came to my house and kept asking me about some of the situations at that time. So, I told them clearly and without any concealment that my elder sister went to bed late and got up late. And in order to hurry, she dragged me to run to school in a hurry. But on the way, my stomach hurt, so I went home alone. After all, I was just a child. And of course a child wouldn't lie. I looked at the policeman in front of me with a sobbing expression. Uncle Policeman, that's what happened. You must bring my sister back. I miss her so much. I wiped my tears with my little hands randomly. At that moment, I even thought I could win an Oscar for Best Actress. This true emotion. Who wouldn't say it was good after seeing it? Early the next morning, the police came to our house and looked at my family apologetically. They didn't find Isabella. You liars. You're all liars. I'm going to find my sister by myself. I struggled to run outside from the nanny's arms. And my tears fell madly on the black jade floor tiles, making a clear sound. Arya, you're the only child I have left. Don't be silly. My mother hurried forward and hugged me. And her burning tears wet my neck. Mom, I miss my sister so much. I hugged her back, my voice hoarse. From then on, I would mention my elder sister in front of them every day until I had a fever. Looking at the group photo of Isabella at home made me feel very nauseous. So I thought of a way to completely erase her existence. Doctor, what's wrong with my daughter? Madam, you don't have to worry. The little miss just has a fever. After taking the medicine later, she'll be fine soon. A very pleasant voice sounded in my ear. But I didn't have the strength to open my eyes. The chirping of birds outside the window was very noisy. Daughter, you're awake. Come and have breakfast quickly. I nodded and sat beside her obediently, looking at the group photo on the table in confusion. Mom. Who is she? Why did I take a photo with her? Dad looked up at me in disbelief and tentatively said, Arya. She's your elder sister. I looked at him in confusion. Dad. When did I get an elder sister? Did you adopt her from an orphanage? Husband. Mom exclaimed. And the two of them took me to the hospital in a hurry. Doctor. What's wrong with my daughter? All of a sudden. She's forgotten the existence of my eldest daughter. The doctor carefully examined my brain CT and asked me a lot of questions. I remembered everything. Except for her. Has your daughter had a big emotional fluctuation recently? The middle-aged man wearing glasses asked very professionally. Yes. My family recently. That's it. Your daughter has selectively forgotten the people or things that made her sad. It is recommended that you'd better not mention her elder sister in front of her. Otherwise it will easily stimulate her. She has to reconcile this matter on her own slowly. I sat aside happily playing with my toys. Not caring about my illness at all. Since then, they began to hide the existence of my elder sister in front of me. All the group photos at home were put away. And even that extra room was tightly closed and never opened again. Everything was developing as I wished. There was no longer any trace of my elder sister at home. Whether it was the housekeeper or the nanny. They were strictly forbidden to mention my elder sister in my ear. Even the teachers at school were greeted by my father not to mention her. As for my parents secretly offering a high price to look for her, I also pretended not to know. Anyway, having fulfilled my obsession, she, Isabella, wouldn't be able to come back for at least 12 years. Dad. I'm so scared. Someone is following me. I hugged him in fear. And the fear in my eyes couldn't be erased. Arya. Tell me carefully. Dad will protect you. He, who had already experienced the pain of losing a child once, was very vigilant. I told them about what I had encountered on my way home in a broken voice. And they all looked worried. After a long time, my mother suddenly said, Husband. Let's move. Those kidnappers have thoroughly investigated the area around our house and even followed Arya. I'm worried. I heard him sigh. Let's move. Otherwise, they're in the dark. And who knows what crazy things they'll do next. Early the next morning, I saw many floor plans of luxury houses at home and a real estate agent who was talking eloquently beside me. General Manager Vincent. The luxury houses in this community have very complete security measures. They are not only equipped with a lot of surveillance cameras, but also have many internationally renowned bodyguards patrolling all day long. If anyone dares to cause trouble there, they will be throwing themselves into the trap. As for the residents there, they are all prominent figures in City A. If our little miss makes friends with them, it will be of great benefit to her future development. Taking advantage of this time, I ran to the neighbor's house next door. Brother, can you move with me? I won't live here soon. I eagerly took his hand. And his parents just watched us with a smile. He looked at me a little anxiously. Since the moment I was born, we had never been apart from each other. Brother. My dad said that there are a lot of children like us in Tianjin community. There. We can make a lot of playmates. And he also said that it will be very helpful for our future. I scratched my head and pretended to be ignorant. Arya. Did your dad say it's Tianjin community? Yes, Cathy too. Uncle. After getting my accurate reply, he excitedly grabbed Leo's mother. You know, those who can buy a house there either have power or money. Living there. Whether you want to go into politics or business in the future, there will be people to support you. After hearing this, Leo's mother was also a little tempted. But she was still reluctant to part with the house where they had lived for many years. The most important thing is that there are a lot of strong uncles to protect us. And no one will follow me anymore in the future. Sure enough, when they heard that someone was following me, his parents became anxious immediately. Arya. You said someone is following you. I nodded obediently and told them about my discovery in a soft voice. After all, they only had Leo as their child. Coupled with Isabella's disappearance a few days ago and my hints, I believe they know how to make a choice. Arya. Don't be afraid. I'll move with you. I'll protect you in the future. He looked at me firmly. He also said the same thing in my previous life. And he actually protected me with his actions. Even though his face was disfigured and he rarely appeared in front of others, he still appeared in the public eye for me, and helped me fend off the slurs and abuse from the outside world. So, Leo, I want you to live a worry-free life. In the end, I successfully moved with him. We were still neighbors. And our parents even knocked down the wall and opened a door to make it convenient for us to play. Xiu Yin. Have you seen the news? The villa where our family used to live caught on fire. And the current owner was burned beyond recognition. Fortunately, having fulfilled my ancestral, your daughter Arya dragged my son to move. Otherwise, I really can't imagine. The neighbor's mother took my mother's hand and said thankfully. The neighbor's father was also chatting with my father about their good luck. When it was time for dinner, the neighbor's mother specially prepared a very valuable piece of jewelry for me. An ice-type purple jadeite. Leo helped me put it around my neck personally. Our Arya is really beautiful. And she's also a little lucky star. This is a gift from Uncle. I hope Arya will like it. The neighbor's uncle is a refined man. I looked at the storefront transfer deed of the Prosperous Street section in my hand. As a junior high school student, I understood its value very well. Uncle, having fulfilled my obsession. It's not a big deal. He raised his hand to stop me. Arya, if it weren't for you, it would have been my family who suffered the disaster. Uncle is very grateful to you. I looked at my parents. And they both smiled and nodded. So I also smiled and accepted the gift. I turned around and showed off the jadeite around my neck to him. And he smiled helplessly. Very sunny and warm. Unlike in my previous life. After his face was burned, he could only hide in a dark corner feeling inferior and never met people easily. Now that I can see him living a carefree life, I'm really happy for him from the bottom of my heart. Time seemed to be passing quickly. My stature grew rapidly. Looking at myself in the mirror, I was beautiful, delicate, and tall. I was very satisfied. Miss Leo is here. Today I graduated from high school and had to attend the graduation ceremony tonight. I invited him to be my escort. I took another look at the light luxury and small Chanel- style dress in the mirror and nodded with satisfaction. I'm coming. I went downstairs happily. And he greeted me with surprise. Not long after the party, I received an admission letter from Harvard in the name of the top scorer in the science department. On that day, everyone was blessing me. I could finally go to the same school as him. He studied law and I went into business. It was simply a match made in heaven. The day before going to school with me, he confessed to me in front of the parents of both families. There were as if stars in his eyes at that time. They were so bright that I even forgot when I agreed to him. Arya, this is the green pepper fish you like the most. Try it quickly. Just as I was about to eat the fish, Butler Henry ran in with an anxious expression. Madame, there is someone outside looking for you. My mother and I both looked up in confusion. Who is it? I asked casually. Miss. That person is looking for Madam and the chairman. Oh. It's really Isabella. My mother exclaimed. The last time we met was 12 years ago. She was wearing a dowdy dress. And there were even traces of mending on it. Her originally smooth and fair skin had become very dark and was covered with spots. Her fingers were rough and even deformed. I secretly made some comparisons and found that she was a full dozen centimeters shorter than in my previous life. How should I put it? She looked like a woman in her 50s. She nervously pursed her lips. Her fingers turned white as she grabbed the hem of her clothes. And she stood there very awkwardly, with 2 boys and a girl following behind her. The 2 boys were looking around with shifty eyes. And there was a wildness in their eyes that I was familiar with. And the girl stayed very quietly. But from the way she was constantly pinching her fingers tightly, it could be seen that she wasn't as indifferent as she seemed. Mom. Dad. I'm Isabella. I'm back. As soon as she said this, my mother's eyes instantly turned red. My Isabella. How did you become like this? My mother cried heartbreakably. and my father was also wiping his tears. I'm hungry. Get me something to eat. Did you hear that? You bitch. Suddenly, suddenly, I heard the scolding of the tall boy. And my gaze was then drawn to them. She shrank her neck in fear and anxiously sued them. However, my parents' faces immediately turned much uglier. I still remember that at this time in my previous life, as soon as she saw me, she started to mock me in all kinds of ways. Mom, look at how dark she is and how dowdy she's dressed. She doesn't look like one of us at all. Also, look at how dirty her shoes are. She's even dirtied our floor. Anyway, I don't care. She can't stay at home. If others find out that I have such a sister, it will be so embarrassing. She covered her nose in disgust as if I smelled bad and had dirtied her eyes. But at that time, I was dressed cleanly. There was mud on the soles of my shoes because I had rushed here for my part-time job, even though I was in a difficult situation at that time. I never thought of compromising with that family. I desperately escaped from there and even got into university. But even so, I was still despised by her. Now it's her turn. And she's not as ambitious as she said. I can't see the slightest bit of her so minus called would rather die than submit. I ignored her presence and walked straight up to my mother. Mom, Dad. Who is she? Since my company went public. Because I need to deal with various businesses in a timely manner. Our home is rarely noisy. And there are often all kinds of reporters coming to our house. So the requirement for quietness is even higher. My parents also enjoy the status of being the parents of a celebrity very much and are often invited to participate in some symposiums and variety shows. Therefore, they care more about tomorrow's symposium than I do. She's the daughter of our former nanny. My mother quickly grabbed my father's hand. I looked at this scene in confusion. Arya, don't you have to attend the symposium tomorrow? Are you all ready? She glanced at Isabella with a hint of guilt, and I pretended not to notice. I'm all ready. Don't you trust your own daughter? I replied confidently. Mom, since she's the nanny's daughter, let her take these children and leave quickly. It's making my head hurt from the noise. Butler Henry. Let them go. As soon as the two little boys, who were being held back by Butler Henry, were released, they timidly ran behind her. They vividly demonstrated the words bully the weak and fear the strong. Oh, by the way, don't let in any random people in the future. After saying that, I was about to turn around and go upstairs. Who are you calling random people? I'm your elder sister. As soon as she said this, my parents' faces instantly turned pale. I looked at my parents seriously, with indescribable confusion. Mom, Dad, why do you recognize the nanny's daughter as your own? There should be nothing outstanding about her. Right. Don't think that being an adopted daughter of a wealthy family is easy. If there's no corresponding value, then even breathing will be considered a mistake. In the eyes of wealthy families, there is only the combination of the strong. And there is no such thing as poverty alleviation. My words instantly aroused her few remaining self-esteem. I'm your biological elder sister. How can you treat me like this? You. Shut up. How can you talk to Arya like that? My mother anxiously pulled her away, very worried that she would say something earth-shattering again. The doctor had said that I couldn't be stimulated, otherwise it would be very bad for me. Over the years, I have brought them a lot of honor, and even lifted the Vincent family to a higher level. Many entrepreneurs in City A envy my parents. Even many enterprises that are on good terms with the Vincent family will ask their heirs to befriend me. Looking at Isabella now, except for her own flesh and blood, which still holds some value in my parents' hearts, the rest of her is simply unbearable to look at and has no value at all. Completely stimulated by my mother's attitude, she frantically pulled at my mother. Why? I'm also your biological daughter. How can you treat me like this? Do you know how hard I've had it these years? All of this is your fault. Why didn't you look for me back then? Why? I hid the smile in my eyes and stepped forward with my father to pull her away. But I didn't expect her to be so strong that she actually pushed me directly to the side of the dining table. There was a crackling sound of breaking. And a wonderful breakfast was also ruined. My father was immediately angry. Are you crazy? That's your own sister. I covered my arm. And my eyes were red, seeing that she was still going crazy. My father accidentally pushed her to the ground. And the sound of her head hitting the ground was really pleasant. So, she's really my elder sister. My parents nodded and a panic impatiently explained the accident that happened back then and my subsequent amnesia. I sighed. I said helplessly, Mom and Dad, find some time to sign up my sister for a class. Looking at her current state, I'm very worried. The Vincent family is currently negotiating a big business deal. And they can't afford to damage their image. I believe they will understand the hidden meaning of my words. I can't just lose a large sum of money for no reason. Anyone in this family can be dispensable. But money is essential. This is a big taboo. Chairman. Madam. The eldest. Miss is awake. Butler Henry whispered to remind them. Mom, Dad. Let's go and see my sister. She must have been too happy just now. Which led to this unfortunate outcome. Don't be angry with my sister. I played the role of a qualified younger sister to the fullest. Soothing my parents' hearts. Get out. What are you doing in here? I told you to get out. She threw a pillow at me. And my father said very unhappily, stop being naughty. Arya came to see you. How can you not be satisfied? She came to see me? I was kidnapped because of her in the first place. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have married and had children with a fool. Now that I'm like this, she's just here to laugh at me. My mother was startled by her appearance. But she still forced herself to comfort her. My mother carefully explained the reasons of that year. But Isabella at this time couldn't listen to a word. She kept smearing me in front of my mother, trying to put the blame for her abduction back then on me. But what she didn't know was that whether it was my parents, the police, having tough felt why I'd say, or the housekeepers and nannies at home, they all saw my heartbroken expression and knew very well why she was kidnapped. It was really hard for her to act alone. Mom. My life shouldn't be so dirty. This should have been Arya's. The one who should have been kidnapped should have been her. And the one who should have married and had children with the fool should have been her too. With her inappropriate words, I found that she was also reborn. You're crazy. That's your sister. My mother looked at her crazy eldest daughter in disbelief. The madness in her eyes made my mother involuntarily distance herself from her. And I, standing beside them, had many excited ideas flashing in my eyes. There's nothing more satisfying than taking revenge on an enemy face to face. I want to throw her back into the mud step by step and never let her rise again. Isabella, you should have a good rest first. We'll talk properly tomorrow. My parents left her guest room feeling very depressed, with deep disappointment in their eyes. No, I'm not tired. Mom and Dad. These years I just do as your mother says and have a good rest. Stop being naughty. My father impatiently closed the door. In terms of being heartless, having tough lie, they really don't show favoritism. The harshness they showed me in my previous life has now been transferred to Isabella. Looking at her instantly pale face, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly, and I hummed a song happily as I went back to my room. Get out of here. You lowly things. How dare you come to my house? Do you want to die? Early in the morning, I heard the commotion downstairs. When I came to the stairs, I saw Isabella slapping her son. The force was so great that it attracted everyone's attention. You slut. Something worse than a pig or a dog. You still dare to hit me. I'll teach you a lesson. The two boys' faces were swollen from the beating. And I felt a great sense of relief. In my previous life, I wanted to beat these scoundrels like this countless times. And I even rehearsed many ways for them to die in my mind. Don't tell me that children are innocent. It's not uncommon for them to beat their own biological mother. Such people should be punished or avenged by Isabella. After all, they're all no good. Isabella, stop hitting them. They're your own children. My mother tried to step forward to stop her. Shut up. These dirty things shouldn't be alive. Mom, Dad. Kill them. I can't let others know that I gave birth to such disgusting things. Otherwise, they'll laugh at me. You'll understand me, right? I watched her pulling the head of the older boy and kicking the younger boy non-stop. And I felt extremely comfortable. But my father, who always claims to be a philanthropist, couldn't stand it anymore. Stop it. Anyway, they are your children. You can't be too cruel. When I saw this, I felt extremely ironic. I was also their biological child in my previous life, but I didn't receive any of the so-called love. Now they are here to persuade others to be lenient. In this regard, I support Isabella. Arya, come down here. The conflict finally reached me. I slowly went downstairs and looked straight at her. She forcefully threw the boy towards me, and didn't forget to threaten me. You deal with them. I believe you should be very experienced in this. After all, this is what you went through in your previous life. I looked at her with a heartbroken expression. Sister, no matter what, they are your children. How can you be so heartless? I easily dodged to the side, took my mother's hand, and began my wonderful acting. Think carefully. If others find out that I gave birth to such things, you'll never be able to hold your head up for the rest of your life. She stared at me fiercely. It seemed that she didn't find out that I was also reborn and was getting anxious. She thought that I was as idle as her and needed to rely on the Vincent family to survive. But she didn't know that now. Even the Vincent family has to look up to me. Sister, the children are innocent. Arya, Cathy fulfilled my obsession. I'll kill you. She was so angry that she stepped forward and tried to slap me. But she was held back by the security guards who came. Please tie her up first. She's the daughter of our family's nanny and has a bit of a mental problem. I tried my best to hold back my laughter as I watched my father talk nonsense with a serious face. The clock struck 12 on time, and I realized that it was almost time for the symposium. The host was already waiting outside the villa. No wonder he didn't want to show any patience. I helped my parents sit down and watched as she was dragged to the backyard with her mouth covered. Even though she struggled desperately, it was all in vain. Thank you for your hard work. I smiled and sent the staff out of the villa. Auntie. So the fared. My mother said wearily. Her father. I think Isabella is now obsessed. She actually laid hands on her own children. What should we do? I lowered my head and remained silent, quietly eating my meal. How about sending her to school? This way, she can also understand some principles. They asked for my opinion, and I nodded in agreement. Letting someone who has been away from society for so long return to school, the bitterness and hardships involved are comparable to killing someone and destroying their spirit. But what does that have to do with me? Early the next morning. Arya, Uncle Arthur has invited us to a charity dinner. Get ready. Okay. I put down the bread in my hand and called the makeup artist to make an appointment for a home visit. What charity dinner? I want to go too. Isabella said excitedly. Looking at her current appearance, everyone present was surprised. Well, Isabella, you just got home. You'd better have a good rest. Don't get involved in this matter. Mom. It's precisely because I just came back that I need to make friends with my peers as soon as possible. I'm already so many years behind, and I can't afford to delay any longer. Mom looked at Dad for help. What your mom said is right. Just stay at home and have a good rest. Don't run around all the time when there's nothing to do. I want to go. Why can Arya go? But I can't? She stared at me fiercely, as if she wanted to skin me alive. Sister. Mom and Dad are doing this for your own good. They're worried that you'll be wronged at the dinner party. Why can't you understand their good intentions? I threw back at her the exact words she had said to me in my previous life. What? Am I not a member of the Vincent family? Why do you look down on me? I was a bit impatient and said bluntly, Sister. Your current appearance really makes it hard for you to show up at the dinner party. It's better to wait for a while until you're in better shape. Otherwise, where will the reputation of the Vincent family be put? Arya, you're the one who's sorry for me. Everything you have now is because I suffered in your place. What right do you have to judge me? She roared hysterically. But I didn't care at all and just ate my breakfast indifferently. All right. Arya is right. If you show up in public looking like this, It will greatly affect the image of the Vincent family. Dad made the final decision and gave her a displeased sidelong glance. I felt a sense of satisfaction at her vicious gaze. What? Can't you stand it at this level? I was much more wrong than you in my previous life. At the dinner party, I walked in with Mom and Dad, and soon a crowd gathered around us. Good evening, Uncle and Auntie. My best friend Candy quickly ran up to me and grabbed my arm. Arya, see if you like this. A jade ring appeared in her palm, shining with a purple radiance, which was extremely beautiful. It's so pretty. Thank you, Candy. She looked at me proudly with a smug expression on her face. But soon I couldn't smile anymore. Mom. Dad. Little sister. So you're here. I've been looking all over for you. Isabella showed up wearing an ill-fitting dress. The pink evening gown made her look even darker. And the wrinkles that couldn't be covered by the foundation, along with her hunched shoulders. How should I put it? 1 word ugly. 2 words really ugly. 3 words truly ugly. Why are you here? Dad looked at her with a dark face. All the surrounding eyes were on us. And Mom also looked displeased. Sister, hello too. This isn't the place for you. Go back quickly. I smiled and pointed at the door, indicating that she should leave. How can you treat me like this? I'm your elder sister. She looked at me pitifully, hattingfully. But she forgot that the premise of a hero saving a beauty is that she has to be a beauty. And a rich and beautiful one at that. Otherwise. Dad stepped forward angrily to pull her away. But she dodged. Vincent. Who is she? Uncle Arthur appeared with his wife and daughter. She's the daughter of our former nanny. Her mother passed away. And I took her in because I felt sorry for her. Dad said this awkwardly. But the onlookers around obviously weren't so easily deceived. Dad. What are you talking about? I'm your biological daughter. You can't treat me like this. She burst into tears. But unfortunately, no one paid attention to her one-sided performance. Vincent. You're just too kind-hearted. If it were me, I would never recognize such an adopted daughter and expect her to succeed. The corners of my eyes twitched slightly. This person was a long-time rival of the Vincent family. Because the businesses of the two families were highly similar, there were often various competitions. The relationship with the people of the Vincent family was extremely poor. Uncle Sebastian is just joking. She regards my father as her own father. So our family has to take responsibility for her. I soothed Mom's cold hand with a pat. I'm just wondering if Uncle Sebastian has made any progress on that project you mentioned a few days ago. I, your niece, also want to get involved. Isabella beside me had a face as black as ink, looking extremely embarrassed. But she still stubbornly retorted. It's none of your business to meddle in our family's affairs. You're just poking your nose into things that don't concern you. I coughed to remind her not to go too far. This was what she had taught me. One should know their place and not covet things that don't belong to them. Sure enough. She's the daughter of a nanny. Even if she climbs up the social ladder, she can never be a phoenix. That's right. Dragons beget dragons. Phoenixes beget phoenixes. And the daughter of a mouse can only dig holes. I listened to the comments around me and silently gave her credit for her self-destructive behavior. By the way, uncles, aunts, today's charity dinner is hosted by the Arthur family. We don't want to steal the limelight. Later, anything that you all like downstairs can be charged to the Vincent family. I looked at Uncle Arthur apologetically and quickly tried to save the situation. Dad smiled in satisfaction when he heard the words of gratitude from everyone. He ignored the first love who had been beaten by the situation. Or rather, the little black flower beside him. After the dinner party, the whole family had their own pots. Isabella, don't act on your own again in the future. There are some things that you can't control. Dad smoked a cigarette and looked at her with a look of disgust. Today's dinner party had made him lose all face. Then isn't Arya embarrassing? We're both girls of the Vincent family. Am I really that unseemly? She looked at us resentfully. And I sneered. Sister, don't you even look in the mirror? Look at your dark and wrinkled skin. And that back hunched like a camel's. What do you have to compare with me? Don't say you're my sister in front of others in the future. I feel ashamed. In my previous life, she had also said to me haughtily that I shouldn't mention that I was a member of the Vincent family in front of others. Mom and Dad had agreed. Now it's her turn. And she's actually accusing me of being heartless. It's simply ridiculous. She came at me like a madwoman. And I didn't show her any mercy. I kicked her away. Get lost. You disgraceful thing. You only know how to cause trouble for me. We had influenced my obsession. The Vincent family will probably be on the trending list tomorrow morning. All thanks to you. For an artist in the entertainment industry, being on the trending list is something they long for. But for a group, it's not a good thing. If they really want to promote the group, they have to put in a lot of effort. Otherwise, it's easy to have a setback. And it may even affect the group's image in the public's mind. Mom had originally felt a bit reluctant. But as soon as she heard the words trending list, she froze in place. Arya, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. You bitch. You explain it to me clearly. I took the opportunity to slap her again. Ignoring the madwoman's crazy words, I turned around and went back to my room. Early the next morning, Butler Henry rushed in. Chairman. Madam. Miss. Something has happened. Our family is on the trending list. Although we had been mentally prepared, the family members still looked grim. Don't worry. I asked the team to pay attention to this matter yesterday. The trending topic will be removed soon. I said calmly and gave Isabella a disdainful look. Since that incident, Isabella had been going crazy day and night. One day she went to find her former good friends, but was kicked out of their homes in disgust. The next day she went to start a business, but ended up losing everything. Mom and Dad were tortured so much by her that they were miserable, but I was very happy. Evil people will be punished by other evil people. Let them fight among themselves. It can also add a bit of sweetness to my boring life. Mom, hadn't fulfilled why I'd say. Dad. I'm going to give a speech as an outstanding current student at school in a couple of days. Will you go? I gracefully put down my chopsticks and handed them the invitation. I ignored Isabella beside me. How is this possible? How could you get such an opportunity? For outstanding college students, they are all the best of the best. In my previous life, she had never gotten such an opportunity. It's nothing. I started a company. So naturally I was invited. I explained inferiorly. After all, since my company went public, there have been no shortage of such banquets. But they are also not very common. I just simply wanted to stimulate her fragile nerves. By the way, sister, if you want to get into Harvard, you might have to work a little harder. Otherwise, we'll have to send you to study abroad. People in the circle all know that as long as someone can't get into a prestigious domestic university, they will go abroad to get a degree. At least they'll be returnees from overseas. So what if you got into Harvard? There's nothing to be proud of. If it were me. I exchanged a look with Mom and Dad, and we all looked away impatiently. Let her brag on her own. In my previous life, in order for her to get into a prestigious university, our family spent a lot of money building a building so that she could get the opportunity. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to even step through the door of a prestigious university. You know, although she was quite smart in the early days, later, as she indulged in pleasure minus seeking, her grades plummeted. If it weren't for our family's support, she wouldn't even have been able to get into a sec and minister university. By the way, starting from tomorrow, I'm going to take over all the affairs of the group. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was shocked. Mom's hand holding the soup spoon trembled, and there was a clear cracking sound. What are you talking nonsense about? With just a junior high school diploma, what can you use to manage the company? Dad sneered disapprovingly. After all, those who can work in the Vincent family should at least be graduates from a 985 university. If she were to manage the company, wouldn't people laugh at her? Then why can Arya do it? I only have a junior high school diploma because you were useless. If you hadn't failed to try your best to find me back then, how could I have ended up in such a situation? She recklessly exhausted the little affection Mom and Dad had left for her. Miss Leo is here. I looked behind Butler Henry and smiled. Good evening, Uncle and Auntie. When did you get back? I stood up and took the gift from his hand. Isabella suddenly stepped forward and interrupted. Are you Leo? Hello. I'm Isabella. He looked at her in confusion, his face full of puzzlement. Arya. Who is she? Don't you remember me? We were in the same class when we were kids. At that time, I thought she was like a clown, carefully recounting their past relationship. It was really absurd. In my previous life, every time she saw him with a disfigured face, she would always taunt him. Now she's shamelessly sticking to him. Leo, Dada Musho. You can go back first. I'll come to find you later. I spoke to him in German. And Isabella looked at us in a daze. In my previous life, she could only speak English fairly well, and she was a mess with other languages. And I'll be leaving now. He nodded to my parents as a greeting and then left without looking back. Hey! Don't leave. Let's talk some more. She ran after him and finally came back with a sullen face. What did you say to him just now? Why didn't he pay attention to me? Is it your doing? I said we'll go back to school together to attend the party the day after tomorrow. Anything else? Back then, she and her followers had often mocked me in front of many people because of my poor English speaking skills. But what she didn't know was that I could understand what they were saying. Why did you speak in a language I don't understand? Oh. She's really being double-minus standard. I can speak whatever language I like. It's none of your business. Isabella's face, covered with spots, turned green and then purple. I wonder if she's afraid of dying suddenly due to the rapid change of emotions. She probably still thinks she's the Isabella from her previous life. And I'm still the Arya she looked down on. Looking at her really made me lose my appetite. So I got up and left the dining table. Unexpectedly, having fulfilled my obsession, she followed me upstairs. Arya. Why did you suddenly have a stomachiche back then? Tell me. Are you reborn? She looked up at me. And I could clearly see her dry, nutrient-minus lacking hair on top of her head. Sister. It seems you're not completely stupid. Look at you. Without my help, you've ended up in such a mess. You even had children with the person you despised the most. You're really disgusting. I stepped back in disgust to prevent her saliva from splashing on me. Bitch. So it was you who harmed me. I'll kill you. Her voice was very sharp and ear-piercing. Seeing Mom and Dad walking towards us, I immediately came up with a plan. You probably don't know this, but I was faking the stomachiche back then. And I didn't leave until I saw you step into that alley with my own eyes. You're courting death. I nimbly dodged her attacks and didn't forget to strike at her heart. Sister. It's too late for you to know now. Now I'm the apple of Mom and Dad's eyes. The Vincent family will belong to me in the future. Oh, and Leo. He's my boyfriend now. Arya. You lowly wretch. I should have strangled you to death as soon as you were born. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of my parents. And I quickly changed my expression, starting to admonish her. Sister. Even if you want to enter the company's management, you need to have the strength and qualifications. Otherwise, the company's shareholders won't agree to you. Now you should focus on going to school and getting a diploma. I kept poking at her heart. Since she was reborn. For the proud Isabella. This was even more painful than killing her. Isabella. Stop it. How can you treat your sister like this? Shut up. You old fool. I've had such a hard time these years. I not only had to get up early to feed the pigs that also work in the fields. When that fool was in a bad mood, I'd even get beaten up. Where were you all then? When I was forced to give birth, where were you? After I finally managed to get home, you didn't even have the patience to listen to me pour out my grievances. Is this how you're supposed to be parents? Her words were so loud and powerful that she spilled out all the things I hadn't dared to say in my previous life. My parents were stunned on the spot, but soon their shock was broken by her righteous and stern expression. Mom sobbed as she told her about the difficulties she had faced in searching for her all these years. But Isabella kept refuting and scolding her. In the end, it successfully made the two elders turn against each other. After this quarrel, an invisible smoke of gunpowder filled the house. Isabella would sneer at me and my parents from time to time every day. I closed my computer and remembered that in the video, Isabella had actually openly called someone to deal with me. She wanted to kill me again. And a fierce look flashed in my eyes. Well, that's fine. It's better to solve the trouble all at once, which will save me the trouble later. Early the next morning, Isabella became much more amiable. Not only did she take the initiative to get closer to me, but she also served food to my parents' very filial lie. Isabella, our family will live in peace from now on. Your father and I will make up for the debts we owe you in the future, Mom said with relief. But I felt it was ironic. 12 years of time had only earned a perfunctory compensation in the future. I guessed Isabella wouldn't agree with this so-called concept of family affection either. Okay. I saw the look of her sinking expression and secretly remained on guard. That day, after Leo and I finished shopping, he left first because he had something to do. I then changed my route and went to Chiao Plaza, planning to buy some gifts for my family. Help. When I opened my eyes again, I found Isabella standing in front of me with a triumphant look on her face. Isabella, are you crazy? Let me go right now. I was tied up tightly and couldn't move at all. The surrounding environment was as dark as ink, and it was hard to tell where this was. Yes, Halif too. I'm crazy. I've been crazy since the moment I was kidnapped. This should have been your life. But you schemed against me and made me take your place. Do you know how hard my life has been? I didn't say a word but just mocked her with a look that only the two of us could understand. It was as if no one in my previous life had experienced those hellish days. Back then, I fed out. In order to escape from that village. My leg was even broken. Later, I always walked with one leg slightly higher than the other and was laughed at by my classmates and looked down upon by people in society. Who was really better off than whom? Sister. Don't do anything stupid. We're real sisters. What you're doing is against the law. So what if it's against the law? Do you think I'm afraid? I looked at her inferently, with a pitiful voice but an expression that seemed to invite a beating. Arya, having fulfilled my obsession. Since you're so ungrateful, I hope you can still be so haughty when you're being raped later. Don't cry. I won't feel sorry for you. I'll just make those people even more eager and impatient. She triumphantly waved her hand. And people surrounded me. Those people looked fierce, with a face full of flesh. And they clearly looked like they weren't to be trifled with. But they didn't know that I was even more formidable. Oh, right. Sister. After you go to hell, all the family property will be inherited by me. Even the company you worked so hard to start will fall into my hands. I won't be mentioned. She laughed maniacally and walked out. But she didn't know how advanced technology was nowadays. Before she could step out of the light, the police surrounded the place. Hands up. After I was rescued, Mom hugged me with a look of fear. Arya. Fortunately, hadn't so filthy. You invested in Jaime Technology Company back then. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to find you so quickly. To avoid the tragedy of my previous life, I invested a large sum of money in a technology company that did positioning and monitoring when I was in Senior 1. As long as the positioning and monitoring app is installed on the phone, once it's turned on, family members can monitor another person's location through the phone's positioning function. A week before Isabella came back, I had already activated the app. The reason was to prevent my rival companies from hurting me. After all, the business world is like a battlefield, and there's no room for carelessness. As the chairman of the Vincent family, Dad understood this meaning better than me. Whenever I felt in danger, I would notify them to monitor my phone. Over the years, this habit has been well-preserved in my family. Dad stepped forward and looked at me with relief. Arya, the family won't be unsafe anymore. We should remove those things that need to be removed. Your mother and I will always stand behind you and protect you. I nodded. It seemed they had seen through my trick. But come to think of it, it was inevitable that people would make associations since I had so openly installed monitors at home. Mom, Dad. Save me. I'm your biological daughter. You can't just ignore me. Isabella, who was handcuffed, was still screaming desperately. We were just fated not to have a good relationship with this child. Dad comfortingly patted Mom's hand on the back, giving me a perfect excuse. That's right. It was just a matter of not being fated. I wasn't fated in my previous life. And now Isabella wasn't fated either. But all of this didn't matter anymore. I looked straight at him as he ran towards me and opened my arms. Leo. Let's depend on each other from now on. The incident of Isabella kidnapping me topped the trending list. Not only did I not stop it, but I also secretly added fuel to the fire. I wanted everyone to know that Isabella had wronged me. I also wanted my parents to clearly understand that there could only be one daughter of the Vincent family between us. This was to avoid future property division. Sister, you must receive good treatment in there. Mom, Dad, and I will all be waiting for the day you recover. I looked at Isabella, who had her mouth tied up, with a worried expression. She was struggling desperately and roaring, trying to escape from here. But how could I let her have her way? I had specifically asked the director of this mental hospital to take good care of her. I even personally arranged her room. There couldn't be a more kind girl in this world than me. A nurse inside looked at me with great sympathy. I heard she had been scolding me all night yesterday. Sister, you must control your temper in the future. Otherwise, it will hurt both others and yourself. And it won't be worth it. Don't you think so? It's getting late. I still have work to do. So I'll be leaving now. Goodbye, sister. I smiled and waved my hand as I walked out the door. The sunlight outside was warm and soothing. And the air even carried a unique fragrance. Arya, it's time for us to go. I reached out my hand and placed it in his. And we went back to school together to attend the party. Through the window of the plane, I vaguely saw my young man with the corners of his mouth slightly raised, smiling sweetly, just like the scene when I saw him again across time and space. After arranging Isabella's fate, on the pretext that those people couldn't bear to part with their children, I sent the two boys back to that den of vice. I kept the little girl to comfort my parents' hearts. The little girl was also very observant and knew what she should do. After growing up, she managed the house in an orderly manner, making my life much easier. She also got into Harvard, but she majored in fine arts. After graduating, she directly became an art teacher. Thank you. I took off my sunglasses and looked at her calmly. You deserve it. She shook her head. No. There's nothing in this world that one should deserve. I smiled. That's right. Whether it's the love of parents or the sympathy of others, it should be mutual. Unilateral taking by nature will make the other party disgusted, or even resentful. But you are worthy. I didn't look at the slightly red corners of her eyes anymore. I turned to look at the man who was painting for me. Even though time had passed, he was still wonderful, and I was still cheerful. It's so nice. Today's weather.